What's happening, everybody? I hope this finds everybody well. Welcome back to the Built for Pressure podcast with me, Will Foden. I'm giving you an episode on the hoof as we head to Mallorca for my wife's 70.3 Half Ironman competition. Now, what I'm going to do is give you some frameworks that I use on how I travel, how I still maintain my physical and psychological performance, how I actually work, because I am working for myself whilst being present. The holy grail of everything that you're trying to do right now is that you're not being that proverbial idiot that is busy thinking about work while supporting your wife, so to speak. Anyway, so just a little caveat to those that are watching this, to all you mummies out there, I totally understand it. What usually happens when it comes down to when you have a baby is your previous identity is then gone. You're now a mum. Rach, those that don't know my wife used to compete for Great Britain in 100 fly swimming. She's competed for GB since she was 14. She Commonwealth Games, she missed out on Rio Olympics by 0.1 of a second, and the reality is that she was an elite level athlete for over a decade. When she had a baby, she was a mummy. Now, for her, this is as far away from 100 fly swimming as possible. Doing a half Ironman is the extreme ends of the endurance piece. But just the reason why I'm saying that, massively important that you don't forget what's built you and feeding that monster. The reality is that Rach is an elite level athlete, generally speaking, and at her level of athleticism, she massively unpredicts it just because she's looking down the barrel of one of the hardest challenges she's going to do. But she's making sure that she holds a standard with it. Now, I see a lot of entrepreneurial women and ladies who are gunning it to achieve in some other realm. They have a baby and they forget that actually they need to feed that too. Female performance is as important, and fellas, this applies to you too. What I've seen is a lot of athletes fall off the wagon when they go from athleticism and they don't funnel it into something. So just a little nudge that's not telling you to go do an Ironman, but what that is telling you to go do is that training like an athlete's the only way, because the only way you feed that monster. I'm currently sat in my dad's office, which is quite nostalgic for me, only on the basis of my dad did all his creative work here, so I've got to hold the standard and do with that too. But I'm about to go out and train later, not because I need to, but that's just part of my process. How am I setting myself up? Now, the key thing to distinguish here is sort of three key drivers of travel. Number one is understanding your minimum effective dose. For me, I understand what it takes to move every single day, making sure I'm getting my steps in, making sure that from a training session standpoint, I'm bookending my trip. I've trained every single day for the last 8 days on purpose. Some days a lot lower than a lot higher than others, on the basis that I know that I'm gonna have a few days off, because from Thursday, it's not about me. Rachel's race is on Saturday, and I want to make sure that not only I'm present with my family, but I'm there with my boy on the beach. And then when Rachel's competing, I'm making sure that she's ticking over and completing as mentioned. Next, what I look at here is travel-based nutrition. Now, a lot of the time, what a lot of executives do is they fall off the bandwagon when they move because they feel they haven't got any control. For me, numbers dictate the pace of everything. I track my food not because I'm on a heavy fat loss phase, not because I'm a bodybuilder, not because I am trying to be overly excessive. It's because it gives me data. It gives me something to follow, and I can correlate my actions and my behavior to the inputs and outputs that I'm creating. When you are traveling, yes, you can't measure everything. Yes, you can't. Some of the stuff you've never seen before. Yes, some of it is probably, especially in Mallorca, I don't speak Spanish, but something is better than nothing. My friend, previous coach, and someone who came and spoke onto my immersion event, Owen Satterley, he coined a term called never multiply by zero. When you are traveling, the key piece here is turning over that engine. You're not looking for development. You're looking for stabilization, and you're looking for turnover. Those two things are going to keep you in the game, so as you get home, you can get back into the bandwagon. So from a nutrition standpoint, also, I'm not changing time zones, really, in comparison. If I was moving time zones massively, for every time zone that you cross, it takes a day to accustom to it. So if you go to Singapore, for example, which is 7 hours, it will take me 7 days to get onto time zone there. How do I alleviate that? Number one would be making sure that I eat and I to my circadian rhythm that I'm going to. So if you're going 8 hours away, you'd shift your eating blocks 8 hours. An example, if you're going on the airplane then and you are supposed to be, it's night time in Singapore, you don't eat. Going to Mallorca though, I haven't really got that level of depth not needed, because the time zone is not that different. So I don't have to worry. The main things that when I travel are, I take protein-based food with me, just because I know I don't want to be spending 17 quid on a sandwich in Pret. 2, hydration. One of the things that most executives or people that travel, they forget is actually how dehydrating an airplane is because of the air con and the filtered air. Lastly, what I base my travel on is that I don't actually try and eat that much generally, just because I like to feel light while I'm traveling, and actually I lose a bit of focus if I have a massive meal. Now, for Mallorca, it's a 12 o'clock flight, so it's not actually that bad, but anyone else that's traveled with a child, you'll fully appreciate that whatever's in your head about what's going to happen is not going to happen. I'm probably going to be on my feet for 4 hours. So like I said, before I actually travel, I get a massive protein breakfast in. When I get to that far airport, I search for obviously coffee before 3 p.m. and also a protein-based food, because that's something that's massive. Again, a lot of the time when it comes down to this I feel like I'm teaching people to suck eggs here. But what most people do is they overcomplicate everything. They think that they need to have this massive, crazy strategy battle plan, where the reality is most people, 99% of people, need to have 4 feedings of protein a day. Me being 100 kilos, probably 5. 2, staying hydrated. It's not hard, and taking a nice water bottle with you means that you'll keep yourself ticking over. And then lastly, what we're looking at here is convenience. The key piece that I have whilst I'm away is that I want everything to be as convenient as possible. I don't let my training take over my life. I'm going away. I'm going to have some time off. I've got to work, and obviously it's for Rach. So I'm not going to be running around chasing gyms and everything. I have packed for 5 days. I'll do 2 runs most likely, and also I'll do some form of bodyweight session that will literally be half an hour on the beach, just giving me some headspace, because again, parents know that actually you don't get any headspace when you have a child. Actually, something that I struggle with, and I think a lot of business owners are guilty of, is not actually being able to switch off. I am sat here currently, I again mentioned, I'm in the middle of we just built our capacity index, which is on this screen here, and I'm actually putting it out to clients and customers now. I know that I'm cooking. And the way of the world at the moment is everybody wants to be on all the time. And that guilt that you have for being on is the thing that usually holds you back. For me, what I do is I have literally underneath where I'm filming this, I've got it written out of what matters. I've front-ended my week, so I leave on Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is full tilt. Thursday, Friday is cruise. I don't work on the weekends. And then on Monday and Tuesday, I am actually going to be getting up really early. I'm going to get, or I'll be blocking out 3 hours and executing on my minimum tasks that I need to get done. Now, ego will always tell you that more is equals more, and especially if you're wired like me, where you want your work rate usually dictates your identity. The reality is actually something that I've been working on is actually being present with my family, knowing what pushes the boat forward, and giving myself time and space. You don't get those sort of moments back, and that's how I'm getting over that. Is I don't actually try and switch off. I just dial it down. Most people think that their high performance is a light switch, where for me, my performance is a dimmer switch. I turn it right down when I need to, but then when I need to amplify it and turn it right up again, I have the capacity to do so as well. Most of you out there who are struggling with your current performance now, you're either on, off, all in, all out, where that, for me, is I'm cruising at 80% year round. That is the name of the game. And you would have heard on a previous podcast about how I will depict that a factory only runs at 80%. That's where we want to be, because then we have 20% leverage as soon as we need it. Now, last thing. For when I'm traveling, key thing to distinguish is, I always say this a lot of the time when I'm going away, is when you leave, you want to get home, but when you're at home, you want to leave. The piece of that puzzle is I lead everything with curiosity. I'm looking forward to watching Rach absolutely drop the hammer and not even just prove to herself, but just show that inner athlete is still part of who she is, even though she's a queen baker and that she is a mummy. For me, that is one of the most proud moments to have as a husband, purely on the basis that she's not giving up. And that's what the whole piece of the puzzle is about, how we operate and how we do the do. Is it's not a case anymore around proving a point to everybody else that you can do it. It's around proving a point to yourself that you have the capacity to do it. That's as important. So anyway, I digress. Just a little bit of a snapshot about how I'm working, how I'm operating, how we're going to be moving forward whilst we're traveling. And I'll try and keep you guys updated on how she's going. And likewise, enjoying some sun at my parents' house has been mega. So again, I appreciate you listening to this. I'd love you to hear from you. If you're wired the same as me and you'd like to learn more about how we're operating, or more so, you're interested in what that capacity index is, it may actually help you if you listen to this. DM me the word capacity on any social media platform and I'll be happy to send it to you. Anyway, I digress. Have an awesome day.